need a moratorium. We need enforcement of the law. It is clear that the people at MMS under this administration, the past administrations, and probably administrations before that were acting like a bunch of chuckleheads. They weren't doing their job. We need to enforce the law.
That's Louisiana State Treasurer John Kennedy speaking to us on InBusiness last year about the BP oil spill that led to a temporary ban on deepwater drilling. 1 in 3 jobs in Louisiana is related to the oil and gas industry, and the Obama administration did lift that ban earlier this year, has since okayed 10 drilling permits for new wells. Mr. Kennedy joins us once again from Baton Rouge with a look at just where the state stands 1 year after the spill. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Brennan.
You had strong words we just played back for you about the government's response to the spill. What do you think about the new response and that willingness to allow drilling to once again resume in this area?
Well, it hasn't resumed. They say that the moratorium is lifted, but we still have a de facto moratorium. When they don't permit the wells, even though they say the moratorium is lifted, that means you don't have any drilling. You know, the state of Louisiana and our people have been impacted by this, obviously. We're healing. We're doing better, but we're still not well. We had over 200 million gallons of oil dumped in the Gulf. That's 19 times more than happened with the Exxon Valdez, and it was a huge insult to our environment. It was a huge insult to our economy. It caused the deaths of 11 of our people. And frankly, in many respects, the response of BP and the federal government have not dramatically helped things.
We have a map that we put together of those 10 drilling permits that have been issued, the areas where the drilling would be taking place. These are permits to drill. And you can see, I mean, they are right around, almost right on top of that area, that very same area that the spill happened just a year ago. Are you comfortable with that? I mean, I understand the economic argument, but are you comfortable with that drilling taking place that close and perhaps even BP returning?
Yes, I am, and I'll say what I said a year ago. At the end of the day, after all the hearings and the rhetoric and the investigations, we will find that this accident did not happen because we don't have enough rules. This accident happened because somebody did not follow the rules that we already have. And that's why I said before, and I say now, we need to enforce the rules that we already have. But we don't need to add additional bureaucracy that would impede the search for energy that the United States of America desperately needs from the Gulf of Mexico. There's a proper balance, and I'm not sure it's been struck.
Sir, you know, we were looking at all the hand-wringing and all the comments made by congressmen and senators over the past year about needing to regulate the industry more and what they were going to do in the wake of this disaster, which, as you described it, was horrendous for your region. Are you then saying that you're happy that there hasn't been any reform of energy law in this country?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm asking the United States Congress to use a little common sense and take a look at why this accident happened. This accident happened for 2 reasons: a bad cement job and a blowout preventer that didn't work. Now, we had rules already in place that required a solid cement job and a blowout preventer that worked. We also had some extraordinarily bad judgment exhibited by some people, not necessarily on the rig. I'm talking about executives higher up. So you have to that's not a reason to stop drilling in the Gulf. You need to drill more carefully and enforce the rules that you have. But you have to look at the facts, and I think there's been a lot of hysteria. I think there's been some overreaction. There's been a lot of underreaction as well. Look, let me say it again. This has been a huge insult to our environment and our economy.
You want BP back in Louisiana?
BP is still in Louisiana.
Well, I want them to have more permits to drill in those deepwater areas.
I want them to come back, and I want them to come back and clean up the mess. We still have over 300 miles of coastline in Louisiana that have oil. Now, I mean, you know, you might probably have heard the oil's gone. It's not. 300 miles of coastline still have some oil. 40% of all of our coastline that was impacted by this spill still has oil. And I'm not even talking about the amount of oil lying on the floor of the Gulf of Mexico. We have no idea what the impact of these toxins in our food chain will be. We have no idea what the impact, long-term impact of all the dispersant dumped into the Gulf will be. So yes, I mean, the job's not done, and BP needs to make it whole. But having said all of that, I still believe that we have to be reasonable and strike a proper balance between careful drilling, but also with a recognition that this country needs energy, and much of that energy can be produced safely, I believe, in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's my opinion anyway.
Since I have you here, Treasurer, I want to ask you, we've been talking about the budget deficit on the federal level. We looked at the agreement for the year past, and $3 billion less is going to flow down to states and municipalities from the federal government. We're not even looking at the cuts that are now going to happen for this new budget. What does that do to Louisiana? How many jobs are going to be lost?
Well, it hurts, but it's necessary. The spending by the United States Congress and the current administration, I think most reasonable people would agree, is out of control. It's not every day that S&P downgrades a country's credit rating. That just happened to the United States. There's a reason for that, and it's because our federal spending is out of control, and it has to be addressed, and everybody has to sacrifice. Local government does, state government does, and obviously the federal government as well. I'm glad they're getting serious about the problem.
I'm looking at a proposal you have where you're going to eliminate 5,000 positions each year for 3 years by not filling current job vacancies. How many more jobs are going to be lost now?
I think we can eliminate 15,000 state government positions through attrition without laying anybody off or firing anybody. We're number one in the South, Margaret, in the number of state government jobs adjusted for population. I don't know how Mississippi and Alabama and Florida do the same amount of work as Louisiana state government with fewer people, but if they can do it, we can do it too.
All right, Treasurer, thank you for your time.